3 at Wat Market on Chong in Chinatown. Here another elaborate entryway into a shrine. Notice how significantly different it is than the other shrines that we've seen. Being Chinese, I suspect, duh. And yet they're perhaps the Buddha, or a Buddha. One can imagine that as you enter, each of those perhaps are figurative walls symbolic of something in their religion until you reach the inner sanctum. Here we're in a more commercial area, commercial size scales as well as small household ones, as well as weight scales. And then here, just a hardware store of nuts and bolts, kind of thing you'd see on a couple of aisles in a good Ace hardware store in Tucson. More of the same, only bigger bolts. Really bigger bolts, all thread bolts. Again, like most other countries, knowing where to get it in the melange of stuff. This is a pharmaceutical store, it looks like. Herbal boxes, remember that? Chinatown Mini Mart. Now we begin the cacophony of Chinatown. The signs and noise and the ubiquitous 7-Eleven. It's interesting that apparently all over the world taxi drivers are either so hungry, and that may well be the case, or so foolish as to think that anybody walking really wants a cab. Here's a small local shrine off the main drag. It's supposed to be a coffee shop right where I'm standing, but I don't see one. The door's closed and it looks like an empty building. Up at the top is some kind of a something, either a light or an incense burner or something. While trying to follow the guidebook, I ran into this Wat, and this temple is 3rd grade royal temple, an ancient temple built in the Ayutthaya period, formerly surrounded by a moat connecting it to Chai River, which brought its local name. 1796, King Rama I renovated the entire temple and made it a royal temple. Now the Buddha inside is made of a hollow log with lime covering. The image's arms are made of wood with gold application. Inside the image, under space, contain numbers of silver and lead votive tablets. Okay, the directions are very confusing because backtrack along Thai Fat Sai, which was that top of the T, if you will, that I turned right on to get to the coffee shop. There wasn't there. And turn down Chok Khao San, which may have been the street I walked down, although there was no sign that I could see indicating that, but that could be no big surprise. I went past the Wat, which is not mentioned here, and a gentleman saw my consternation and in good English guided me down to what he says is Sampeng, Chinatown's busiest market street. That's what the guidebook says, and this is supposed to be it, so I'll follow it for a while. The second biggest intersection says, and then turn right and go back up to Yarawara. This, I think, is a commercial street. Notice the big rolls of rope. More rope here. Again, if you know where to find it in a city like this, you can find absolutely everything. People sit in a chair way at the back and hope to God something happens. How would they survive? I don't know. Very much like the restaurants along the Mexican coast. Something like 5 or 6 restaurants one night. I'm the only one in any of them. I'm in the semi-precious gem market area now. And if you know what you're looking for, probably very exciting. It's a bunch of pretty stones and all kinds of fishing gear. A lot of fishing goes on in Thailand. It's interesting when I do encounter, I'll call us gringos for lack of a better term, that works for me. In these places we kind of say nod recognition but don't have anything to say because we're kind of offended that the other person's even there, interrupting the sanctity of our being by ourselves in these places. There's a pretty little house, nicely decorated. Again, such places stand out in countries like this where outside decoration is not treated too well. This must be a spice shop because a melange of spicy smells is issuing from it. Imagine the goodies that are hidden here. Imagine the wealth, believe it or not, even in Thai terms, of what might be inside this shop. Belt material, notice how it comes. And various kinds of rope and probably yarn. Here more webbing. Notice they kind of cluster themselves, make it easy for the buyer perhaps. And heart gift cards. All kinds of sticker type things. And these are all patches that you could sew on your clothing. And more of that, the same down this side street. And here's still another side alley with probably good restaurants down there. It looks like lots of people trying to get a place to sit. The smoke and the fumes get to my lungs. Now I'm back where I walked before. So I'll just hang a left here and go. In this shop with little burners here, I'm not sure if these are the food cookers I've seen people use, like hibachis, only not enclosed. And here are your own personalized shrines, lit ones, in fact, for your home. Apparently the study of Buddhism and the practice of it is all-encompassing. It involves your entire day, your entire life, everywhere you live, work, walk, sleep, whatever. Chinese lanterns. Very exciting. Some kind of decorative foods. Probably akin to a wedding cake or a birthday cake, something like that. Some big giant candles. Incense here, I'm suspecting. Kinds of it. It was over there on one of these little chairs that I sat for a while and had lunch. And here we have a lady making these right here. Very, very pretty. From these flowers, probably. Ah, yes. These are probably used as offerings in the Wat. Okay, I'm now at Wat Mangkon Kamalawat, Chinatown's liveliest and largest temple. Just a few hundred feet away from where I sat on a chair for lunch. One of the larger buildings. Smaller buildings, I suspect, with multiple shrines. In there you see some monks. They have different dress. Some wear fully clothed cloaks, and others obviously have somewhat open. I think it's an irony that Thailand has so many monks and so many beautiful women who, by convention, are not allowed to touch a monk. Anything that's to be given to a monk by a woman must be first given to a man. I don't know that if I can gain entry into this one or not. Thank you. Here the decoration is different, very dark, but with looks like floral or starred decoration, no floral decoration, but on a dark background as opposed to the over-the-top gold. Like many churches in Europe, particularly I recall in Venice, where it would seem fairly clear that the temples were built early on and someone could actually view like the front of this one, which is around to the right there. We're getting a profile. But now, over time, buildings have encroached all the way around, so you can't do that. And here we'll scan the complete detail of this window framing. This is probably as good a view of the front of the entrance of this as we're going to get, unless I break into somebody's apartment. This wall, I suspect, holds the ashes of the people whose pictures are installed on the front plaques. Why this one is missing now, I don't know. Or it's possible these are just commemorative plaques, but the little niches seem deep enough to do more than just that. And for example, does this bowl contain the ashes of the person? Some of them? Or is it just a device for holding the incense sticks? Eerily, this also reminds me of one of the walls at the oldest Jewish cemetery in Krakow. Just a little close-up of the There's an interesting array of bells. I wonder if they're rung and if they make different. This is a simple little stir fry. Had little peanuts on the side and some of these things down inside. And it has chicken and some vegetables and rice noodles, I think it is. Very simple dish, but very, very good. I wonder what it is that they use in the wok to give it this nice, sweet, but still controlled taste. Saturday evening, about 4:30, 5 o'clock. I've returned to the little park near the river, which is very pretty. Usually it's tranquil. Tonight it's a group that's getting ready to play, so it's going to be less than tranquil, but that's quite interesting. To the left there on the walkway gets you down to the South Street Ferry Pier. And here's the relief. I don't know what it's illustrating. This booth is apparently for taking pictures of little kids and their parents. Don't know what that little gathering over there is, but looks like this is for kids, this outing. Some of the unarmed police just making their presence known. Sometimes you see a policeman on the street or see a police car go by, and once in a while they pull somebody over for some infraction, which is a lot like giving somebody a citation for truly outrageous murder, but not worrying too much about the ordinary ones. Here the parents are trying to induce the kid into believing that getting his photograph done for the parents' benefit is somehow a pleasure for him. It's not working. And the proud parents are happy with the picture. something that only a few animals in the earth can do, and that is recognize themselves. If it weren't for the trash there, this would be a pretty interesting floating carpet of plants, if you will. I suspect that they are alive, that they have adapted so that they can live on the water like this. This is an interesting property. Saw two men, ironically, fishing from the back of that boat. Somehow through the debris, his shirt's drying, but notice he's got his own little aviary there. About 4 or 5 different little bird nests, plus these large bird boxes here. And this probably illustrates Bangkok, although not the total extremes. When you look up above and imagine that there are people who perhaps live up there on that palm level, unless that's an office building. They used to have boats on them, running a regular circuit of transportation, but now there are only a few, one of which was the one I was on the other day. This is my second dinner of the evening just because I was hungry. The first few days my schedule is usually screwed up for everything, although not a problem, doesn't bother me at all. It's just something I do and I adapt to. But here's something novel. I don't know what these little goodies are here. Everything else I recognize: corn, cauliflower, chicken, carrots, tomatoes, peas, and beans. This is some kind of spicy chili herb, and it's not terribly bad, but I would guess that maybe 2 or 3 of those little balls per mouthful would be sufficient to add enough spice for me.